over 40 historical fictions publishing in 2026 that I have my eye on, and I think you should too. Let's review. How did we get here? It is already December. Like, next thing you know, we're going to be doing yearly wrap-ups and best of 2025, and I'm already here doing look-aheads for 2026. Where did this year go? I legit have no idea. As you know, every month I do the Lord's work. I come on and talk about historical fictions that are publishing that month that I think you should know about. And as part of my preparation for 2026, I have already amassed a list of over 130 books. Here are the 40 plus that I am really excited about. You know, I'm excited about all of them, but these are the ones. These are the cream of the crop for me. These are the ones that I've either requested advanced reader copies or will be querying the publisher for copies of, or pre-ordering depending on the book. Before we dig in, let me say hello. My name is Carly. I read and review books on multiple platforms, primarily historical fiction books, and these are the ones that I'm going to be talking about a lot next year. Oh my gosh, can't believe I'm already saying that. Some of these I only just heard about in the last few days, so this is exciting. I'm going to go in order of publication, and I'm going to include pub dates as well as publishing houses, just in case that's important for you to know, in case you're requesting on NetGalley, for example. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of these. I haven't read any of these yet, so I can't give you a review. I'm just giving you tidbits from the synopsis and pulling out the things that are speaking to me. As always, every book that I talk about today is going to be linked below in the caption. You can use that list if you so choose to pre-order books, or you can just use that list to create a calendar for your Libby holds. Let's jump right in. First up is Skylark from Paula McLean, author of The Paris Wife, which I loved, and Circling the Sun, which I read earlier this year, and I enjoyed it. Wasn't my favorite. This is publishing on January 6th from Atria. It's a dual timeline historical fiction set in 1664 and 1939. It weaves a mesmerizing tale of Paris above and below. So it's all about the underground there, not the metro, the underground tunnels and catacombs. A woman's quest for artistic freedom in 1664 intertwines with a doctor's dangerous mission during German occupation in the 1940s, revealing a story of courage and resistance that transcends time. I'm very curious about this. I am adding this to my list because I love The Paris Wife so much. I also love Paris. It's my favorite city on the planet. I've been multiple times. Would love to go there and just stay. And I can't resist a book set in Paris. I really can't. The book focuses on a side of Paris known to very few, the underground city that is a mirror reflection of the glories above. Described as surprising and deeply moving. Up next, from an author that will be new to me, but many people I know have read and love this author. I'm talking about Fire, Sword, and Sea by Vanessa Riley. This is publishing on January 13th from William Morrow, and it's described as a fresh take on the high seas adventure, swashbuckling, based on a real-life female pirate, Jacotée de la Haye. I've read another book about this woman in history, The Ballad of Jacotée de la Haye, which I really enjoyed, but felt that it was a touch on the YA side. It was a great adventure, but it was really a small little window of time in her life. This book sounds like it is more sweeping, meaning it follows her over the course of several years. Fiona Davis blurbed this. The research Riley has done on the 1600s saga is truly remarkable, second only to her depictions of the lush Caribbean setting and the diverse, multifaceted cast of characters. This is one to be savored. The pirates of the Caribbean were real, they were female, and they were black. Sounds pretty good. When We Were Brilliant by Lynn Cullen, the author of The Woman with the Cure, is coming out on January 20th from Berkeley, and this one has my attention for one reason and one reason only. Maybe two, because I really enjoyed The Woman with the Cure. This is about Marilyn Monroe and photographer Eve Arnold, an unlikely pair who would make a deal that would change their lives in this dazzling new novel described as lavish and transporting. It captures the halcyon days of an icon and the grit of women determining their own futures as it explores the exceptional and complicated friendship between Marilyn and Eve. I love classic Hollywood. I think I've told you guys that before. So if it has anything to do remotely with classic Hollywood or actors or actresses from that period, I'm going to read it. I also have really kind of fallen in love with Marilyn over the past several years after seeing her in The River of No Return. I had seen some of her other films and, as compared to some of my other favorite actresses, I've never really given her a chance, never really associated her with good acting. And then I saw her in River of No Return and I was blown away. If you haven't watched that, I would encourage you to do so. It is more of a Western and it has my man, Robert Mitchum, in it. Oh, I will watch anything with Robert Mitchum. Rules of the Heart by Janice Hadlow, the author of The Other Bennett Sister, is coming out on January 20th from Henry Holt. I actually do have a physical copy of this book already. This is a beautifully evocative historical novel about the perils of all-consuming love, inspired by real-life 18th century love affair. England, 1794, now in her 30s, Lady Harriet Bessborough, already the veteran of several liaisons, finds herself pursued by a much younger man. This isn't unusual in her circle, where married women often take younger lovers. No one minds much, provided they follow the rules of the game. She knows she needs to leave this young man, but can't bring herself to do it. She loves him far too deeply now to escape the scandal that threatens to engulf her. Sounds a bit like Anna Karenina, which I really enjoyed. So this one is definitely on my TBR for 2026. One that I haven't yet requested, but probably will in the next couple of days, is Burn Down Master's House. This is coming out on January 27th from Clay Kane. This is not a debut, but I've not read anything else by Kane. Kensington is publishing this book for inquiring minds. Inspired by true, long-buried stories of enslaved people who dare to fight back, a searing portrayal of resistance for readers of Colson Whitehead, Jessamine Ward, and Percival Everett. A visceral and indelible portrait of love, brutality, betrayal, and identity comes unsparingly to life. Inspired by true stories of profoundly courageous men and women who dared to fight back against the barbarism of the era. I know that is pretty vague. It doesn't tell you a whole lot about the book's plot, but I think this one is speaking to me primarily because of the references to Jessamine Ward and Percival Everett. It also sounds a little bit like other books that I read and enjoyed set back in that antebellum era that ended with a bang. Donna Everhart has a new book coming out on January 27th, Women of a Promiscuous Nature, also from Kensington. This one has my name written all over it. This is one I may actually reach out to the publisher for a copy of this, maybe even like a giveaway copy because it sounds so good. Accused of promiscuity in 1940s North Carolina, a young woman unjustly incarcerated and subjected to involuntary medical treatment at the State Industrial Farm Colony for Women decides to fight back in this powerful, shockingly timely novel about a long-buried history of the American Plan, the government program designed to regulate women's bodies and sexuality throughout the first half of the 20th century. Sounds pretty relevant right now. I don't know. What do you say? There's a blurb for this book. If The Handmaid's Tale was a true story that took place in 1940s America, it would be Women of a Promiscuous Nature. Sold. Two books that are super high on my TBR. I actually have advanced reader copies of both of these because I love both of these authors so much. Eleanor Shearer is publishing a brand new book, Fireflies in Winter. If you don't know Eleanor Shearer, she is the author of River Sing Me Home, one of my favorite books. This is publishing on February 10th by Berkeley, a gripping novel of two young women fighting for survival on the edge of the wilderness and the love that simultaneously sustains them and threatens their very existence. With evocative prose and immersive storytelling, Fireflies in Winter is a powerful novel about love, love for the wilderness and all of its unforgiving beauty, and love between two women who risk everything to be together. Sounds really good. Sadika Johnson, author of The Yellow Wife and House of Eve, also has a new book. You've probably already heard about this one. It's been making waves everywhere. Keeper of Lost Children comes out on February 10th from Simon & Schuster. One American woman's vision in post-War II Germany will tie together three people in an unexpected way. Toggling between the lives of three individuals, this book explores how one woman's vision will change the course of countless lives and demonstrates that love in its myriad of forms, familial, parental, and forbidden, and even self-love, can be transcendent. So these two authors really remind me of each other. If you haven't read Shearer and you love Sadika Johnson, I would highly recommend that you read River Sing Me Home and probably Fireflies in Winter. To me, River Sing Me Home and Yellow Wife kind of go hand in hand. Another author that I'm really excited to read some of her solo work. I've only read her co-authored novel, Can't We Be Friends? I'm talking about Denny S. Bryce, who has a new novel, Where the False Gods Dwell, coming out on February 24th, also from Kensington. I think I need to get in touch with Kensington. Inspired by real-life legendary choreographer Catherine Dunham. Her groundbreaking expedition into the heart of the Caribbean dance culture, this uniquely captivating novel imagines the experiences of three very different women who accompany her, hoping to find their destinies, yet find themselves forced to survive a historic event. A hurricane, groundbreaking women, Caribbean culture. Yes, please. I don't know a whole lot about this one, and I didn't want to read the entire synopsis, but this one spoke to me. Audrey Blake's All in Her Hands is coming out on February 24th from Source Books Landmark, a story of hope, love, and perseverance following one woman's fight against an invisible enemy, a female physician, a group of talented midwives, and a deadly cholera epidemic. I work in healthcare. I'm always drawn to healthcare stories, and this sounds so good. A Far-Flung Life by M.L. Stedman, the author of The Light Between Oceans, which I haven't read, should I? Is coming out on March 3rd from Scribner, a breathtaking and epic novel set in the vast outback of Australia about tragedy, family secrets, and the enduring power of love. Set in remote Western Australia in 1958, it's a tale about family and belonging, fate and time, people trying to do their best, and each for private reasons seeking shelter from the storm of life. Sounds really good, and I've heard that this author has beautiful prose. Penny Haw, the author of The Invincible Miss Cust, which was a fan favorite this year in the BBFL book club, is coming out with a new book, The Woman and Her Stars, on March 3rd, also from Source Books Landmark. This is for fans of Her Hidden Genius and The Engineer's Wife, yet another women in STEM novel from this author, an awe-inspiring true story of Caroline Herschel, an 18th century astronomer who lived in the shadow of her brother but learned to pave her own path among the stars. Shines a light on a woman who was raised to believe she was worth nothing more than to serve others, but whose genius and resolve made her one of the world's leading astronomers. An inspiring story set within the societal boundaries of the Regency era. It's a journey of self-belief, friendship, and triumph. This sounds very similar to The Invincible Miss Cust, which we all really enjoyed. I walked away from that book thinking I need to read Penny Haw's backlist, and then I saw that she's got a new book coming out, so I've already requested and been approved for an advanced reader copy, so watch for a review of that. Another book on my advanced reader list is Lady Tremaine by Rachel Hochhauser. This is coming out on March 3rd from St. Martin's Press. I think this may be a debut, not sure. It reimagines the myth of the evil stepmother at the heart of the world's most famous fairy tale, Cinderella. It's a battle cry for a mother's love for her daughters and a celebration of women everywhere who make their own fortunes. I was obsessed as a little girl with Cinderella. I could tell you a long story about that, but I won't. I know I'm going to read this, and I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy it. Another book that I already have a copy of, I have a physical ARC for The Secret Lives of Murderers' Wives by Elizabeth Arnott. This is coming out on March 3rd from Berkeley and features a remarkable trio whose lives have been cracked wide open by their husbands' crimes, who unite to catch a serial killer in this dazzlingly captivating novel. A riveting portrayal of shattered trust and a story of gripping suspense. It's a testament to the intricacies of women's lives and how the deep bonds of female friendship can empower, uplift, and lead us to endure. It Girl by Alison Pataki, the author of The Magnificent Lives of Marjorie Post, which is on my Kindle but I haven't yet read, is coming out on March 10th from Ballantine, a sweeping, sensational novel of America's first It Girl. whose dramatic journey to the center stage echoes through the decades. Pop culture is born, and in a world alight with Mr. Edison's new bulbs, no one shines brighter than America's sweetheart, Evelyn Talbot. It's a breathtaking ride inspired by a singular artist and icon who captured the collective imagination of American society. The author crafts yet another unforgettable leading lady, a heroine who must find the power to change not only the world, but her own destiny. For my fellow World War II fiction fans, The Shock of the Light by Lori Inglis Hall is coming out on March 7th from Viking Penguin. It's described as a sweeping novel of siblings, love a sibling story, steeped in love, heartrending loss, and sacrifice. It's the story of two twins who meet shockingly different fates, but whose bond will last forever. As World War II takes hold of Europe, both are eager to do their part. It's described as a novel of bravery, the brutal human cost of war, a brother and sister bond that outlasts even death, and the redemptive love that grows in unexpected places. This has my name written all over it. In the Fields of Fatherless Children by Pamela Steele is coming out on March 24th from Catapult Press. It's a love story set in rural Appalachia during the Vietnam War. A young couple is torn apart by both global conflict and their family's ancient feud. Sounds really good. A powerful story of love and perseverance, masterfully told by a writer of exquisite care who knows intimately the rural people of this time and place. I just got approved for this one and I cannot wait to read it. The Moonlight Runner by Karen Robards is coming out on March 24th from HTP Books. In the wake of the Great War, a young woman joins the Irish Rebellion and risks everything for her country in this sweeping story of love, bravery, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. Set in Ireland in 1918, it is reminding me, or the blurb for this one is reminding me of my favorite Amy Harmon. I walked away from What the Wind Knows feeling so much richer in knowledge about the Irish Civil War, and I think that this one is going to do the same thing. A debut novel that has caught my attention, The Quarter Queen by Kayla Hardy. This is coming out on March 34th. On March 31st from Ballantine, a voodoo witch must navigate a magically and racially divided 19th century New Orleans to save her mother and the soul of the city itself. A lush debut inspired by the life of Marie Laveau. Portrait of a mother and daughter who've struggled all their lives to understand one another, and a captivating exploration of racism, family, and womanhood. I mean, I'm wearing my LSU shirt. Of course I'm going to be reading the book set in New Orleans. A good friend of mine over on Book Talk is publishing her debut. The Fourth Wife by Linda Hamilton is coming out on March 31st from Kensington. A deliciously chilling, darkly romantic historical gothic horror with a feminist slant. A young Mormon woman is haunted by a malevolent presence in the decrepit Salt Lake City mansion she shares with her new husband and his other wives. Drawing on little-known Mormon folklore and the author's own polygamous ancestors, this fascinating, suspense-filled historical novel is darkly romantic, spine-tingling, and wholly unforgettable. The Hired Man is the latest from Sandra Dallas. This is coming out on March 31st from St. Martin's Press. The Dust Bowl sweeps a handsome stranger into a small Colorado town to dangerous effect in 1937. It's been 7 years since the dust storms came to Colorado, and when Martha Helen's compassionate mother insists they take in Otis Hobbs, a handsome drifter who saves a local boy from a vicious storm, she quickly discovers a darker side to their rural community. Another debut that has caught my attention, Into the Great Quiet by Laura Vogt. This is coming out on April 1st from Lake Union. A pioneer unwaveringly endures the Oklahoma frontier in an epic adventure about a woman haunted by secrets and searching for home. Based on the true story of the author's great-great-grandparents, this sweeping and transportive survival story explores a woman's connection with the land, her reconciliation with the past, and her elemental search for home against all odds. If you're not following Laura over on Instagram, I would encourage you to do so. Her content is so great. I love her vibe. One that me and many other people that I polled are excited about is Elizabeth and Marilyn. Ballantine is publishing this on April 7th by the author Julie Owen Moylan. What Really Happened When Queen Elizabeth II Met Marilyn Monroe. A stunning historical novel imagines the summer that bonded the world's two most famous women, both 30 years old and chafing against the facade of global celebrity. Inspired by the months of the summer 1956 when Elizabeth and Marilyn lived as neighbors in nearby Windsor. I need this book so bad. So bad. Another one that I just got approved for today, in fact, is Mrs. Benedict Arnold by Emma Perry. This is coming out on April 28th from Zando, which is Sarah Jessica Parker's literary house. A riveting reimagining of a young woman who almost ended the American Revolution, set in Philadelphia in the 1770s, when uncertainty and bloodshed are the only constants. Mrs. Benedict Arnold asks, how far will one woman go for safety? We are currently watching the new Ken Burns American Revolution documentary and loving it. So when I saw this, I was like, yes, please. Eve Chung, the author of The Daughters of Shandong, is coming out with a new book, The Young Will Remember, on May 5th. This is being published by Berkeley, a sweeping novel about a correspondent trapped behind enemy lines during the Korean War and the women who help her find her way home. It sheds light on the forgotten war, the resilience of love within our darkest histories, and the indefatigable determination of mothers to protect their children. I really enjoyed The Daughters of Shandong. It was a debut, and I walked away from that book thinking this was a good book, and I can't wait to see what she does next. So I have even higher hopes about The Young Will Remember. Tiffany Warren, the author of The Unexpected Diva, which I read earlier this year and really enjoyed, is coming out with a new book, A Harlem Wedding, on May 12th from William Morrow, a dishy and dramatic novel of the Harlem Renaissance and its most famous Black debutante, Yolanda Du Bois, daughter of W.E.B. Du Bois, whose spectacular wedding to poet Countee Cullen was the society event of the year, even though the bride and groom were not so secretly in love with other people. A heady read about love, notoriety, Black excellence, deception, and the très chic lifestyles of the Black elite, from speakeasies of Harlem to the green fields of Fisk University, all the way to Le Grand Duc in Paris. That one sounds so good. Heather Webb, whose work I have really enjoyed in the past, is coming out with a new book, The Hope Keeper, on May 19th from Sourcebooks Landmark. Set in 1919 Washington, D.C., Elizabeth Beaumont comes from a renowned jeweler family, but after the untimely death of her twin brother, she's left on her own to run the failing family business, described as a toxic world of dark opulence, and the lines begin to blur for our main character between who she is and where she belongs. All about the Hope Diamond. Sure, why not? I may be mispronouncing this, but I'm going to give it a shot. Amanda Skenendor, the author of The Medicine Woman of Galveston, which is on my Kindle, and The Second Life of Muriel West, which I loved, is coming out with a new book, When No One Else Will. This is publishing on May 26th from Kensington, and it has my name written all over it, based on the true story of an illegal woman's clinic at the center of the high-profile trial in 1940s Chicago, and the nurse who risked her safety and freedom to work there. A thought-provoking, powerfully timely novel of courage, sisterhood, and women's healthcare. Again, I love healthcare novels. I'm working actually on a list of books related to healthcare or that portray healthcare. So let me know if you have any tips on what to add to that. I just heard about this book this morning and I had to include it. It was so timely. Land, the latest from Maggie O'Farrell. Yes, that Maggie O'Farrell, i.e. Hamnet. This is coming out on June 2nd from Knopf, a soaring historical novel set in Ireland in the years before and after the Great Hunger. It's about separation and reunion, tragedy and recovery, colonization and rebellion, buried treasure, overlapping lives, ancient woodland, persistent ghosts, a particularly loyal dog, and how when it comes to land and history, nothing ever goes away. Described as spellbinding and as varied as the landscape that inspired it. Above all, a story of survival for our times and for all time. I wasn't the biggest fan of Hamnet, and I think that maybe because I'm not a mother, and I don't know, it really speaks to motherhood, that book. I did enjoy the prose, but I loved the marriage portrait so much. So I'm very much looking forward to Land. Natasha Lester, one of my favorite authors, is coming out with a new book on June 2nd. The Chateau on Sunset is publishing from Ballantine. A sheltered young woman living at the Chateau Marmont here in Hollywood falls under the spell of a scandalous, secretive man as all of Hollywood's glamour swirls around her, a stunning feminist reimagining of Jane Eyre. Ruta Sepetys has a new book coming out, A Fortune of Sand, publishing on June 2nd from Ballantine. The daughter of an automotive magnate escapes to an artistic retreat that holds more secrets and more intrigue than she could have ever imagined. It's a Prohibition-era novel set in the crumbling grandeur of 1920s Detroit and inspired by actual long-buried historical events. It's described as a haunting mosaic of glamour and grift, a novel about those who vanish and those who demand to be seen. An Artful Dodge by Karen Auden is publishing on June 2nd from Soho Press. Victorian London comes to vivid life in this riveting heist novel about an all-female thieving gang and one young woman's heroic plan to escape a life of crime. London, 1878 sounds like the origin story of a very notorious gang of female thieves who I have read about. I've read actually multiple books about this gang of thieves and really loved them. So I'm looking forward to another author's take on this story. Heather Marshall, author of Looking for Jane, is coming out with a new book, Liberty Street, on June 16th from Ballantine. This is described as a riveting novel about one journalist's harrowing journey into an infamous real-life 1960s women's prison and the detective who uncovers her story decades later. Debut novel Little Wild by Laura Evans is publishing on June 23rd from Henry Holt. Wayward meets atonement in a shimmering debut of first love, betrayal, and revenge, set on a crumbling British estate. A perverse power is awakening within a disgraced daughter, perhaps the very one which led to her mother's ostracism and eventual death. If she can harness it, Margaret may be able to secure an approximation of the love she's always craved, but at what cost? A feminist fairy tale, a haunting meditation on the dangers of desire, and a gripping debut from a talented new voice. Sounds really good. Sounds dark. Chanel Clayton recently announced that she has a brand new book coming out on July 7th, An Infinite Love Story. This is being published by Berkeley. When an astronaut is lost in space, his wife relives their epic love as she attempts to unravel what truly happened to him in this sweeping love story set against the backdrop of 1960s space race. One of my favorite authors has announced a new book. Sylvia Moreno Garcia is publishing The Intrigue on July 14th with Del Rey. I don't know the actual setting, but this was identified as historical fiction. A sizzling noir, love a noir, about desire, danger, and greed in which seduction is the ultimate con. Venture into the streets of a small town where the patina of convention and good manners conceals a cauldron of avarice and lust. No one can do what Sylvia Moreno Garcia does. I cannot wait for this book. Tenderness from Rowan Beard, author of The Divorcees, which I loved. I know it doesn't get high marks on Goodreads, but I really loved it. It reads like a film noir. Her new novel is coming out on July 21st from Flatiron. Set in the tinderbox of 1970s, Tenderness is a lit match, bringing hidden truths to light and asking if we can ever see ourselves or the people we love for who they truly are. I know that doesn't tell you a whole lot about the book's plot, but I couldn't resist. That sounds so good. And anything set in the 70s, it really kind of speaks to me. Meet Me in the Garden from Nina LaCour is publishing on August 4th from Flatiron, a sweeping family saga about self-discovery and love in all forms, inspired by the author's Creole roots. Profound and expansive, a story of love and longing, art and motherhood, friendship and desire, Meet Me in the Garden is a decades-spanning tour de force inspired by the author's family and tracing the history of the Great Migration. And lastly, I had to tell you about this book. I am very excited about this book and cannot wait to get my hands on a copy, hoping that Doubleday will shine a little light down on me and help me get an advanced reader copy when it's available. The Pirate Queen by Ariel Lawhen is publishing on September 8th, a thrilling historical adventure inspired by the life of Grace O'Malley, the infamous Irish sea captain and folk heroine who risked everything to protect her people against the powerful Elizabethan regime. It channels the natural beauty of 16th century Ireland alongside the brutality of the period as seen through the eyes of an unforgettable heroine and defender of her people who truly earned the title the Pirate Queen of Ireland. Sounds so good. There are so many that I didn't feature today, and that's because I'm going to be coming back month after month and telling you what's coming soon. But these are the ones that have really, like I said, captured my attention and have me super excited about historical fiction releases in 2026. I do have a plan to read more backlist fiction in 2026, specifically historical fiction and classics. But I'm going to stay true to my roots and dedicate a lot of my reading to new titles. Hopefully, you'll get a little bit of balance next year with me of new and older. I can't wait for 2026. I can't wait for some of these books. So many great books are on the horizon. I want to hear from you. Which of these caught your attention? Did you like this format? Do you need more information about any of these? If so, stay tuned. I'm going to be creating a blog post to accompany this particular list. And be sure and subscribe to my newsletter if you haven't already. Every month on the first of the month, I send a newsletter featuring books looking ahead at the following month and just lots of wrap-ups of what I've been talking about, what I've been reading, what other people are talking about, all really focused on historical fiction. I hope that this list helps you build your ultimate TBR in 2026. Let me know, did I miss any books that you thought I would be talking about? Are there any books that I didn't discuss that are on your radar? I know I didn't mention the Marie Benedict, seeing some mixed reviews about that one. There are others. Rashonda Tate has a new book coming out, and I'm sure there will be even more announced over the coming weeks and months. But these are the ones that I know about so far that have me pumped.